If you were the Greek Prime Minister, what would you do to save the country?
I'm glad that I'm not the Greek Prime Minister, because right now the problem last year was they had no money. Right now the problem is that the two sides of lenders, the IMF and the European Union, cannot agree on what the criteria should be to fulfill the promise to save them that they made last summer. Tsipras this year finds himself not only on the front end of an economic crisis, but also of this huge geopolitical crisis of the refugees flowing through Greece, of relationships between Europe and Turkey getting very, very fraught, and frankly, that the deal Europe did on the refugees is of dubious legality. Any normal politician would, at this point, seriously think maybe some big technocratic government could do this better, because it's a massive problem. A country nearly bankrupt, the refugees and the geopolitics of Turkey. I'm glad he didn't do it, because the Greek right is an unusual right. I mean by this, the Conservative Party of the Greek right is unusual. When it was last in power, it showed no restraint whatsoever as regards to using the force of law and order against refugees and migrants. And I think that it is a very good thing for humanity that Syriza has stayed in power to act. I mean, in English we have this phrase, like a dented shield. They hold the shield is dented, but above the poor and the migrants. It may be that they're inflicting austerity on them and a terrible deal, but I know that if it was inflicted by the normal parties of Greece, it would be much worse.
It's just about the recent leaks about the IMF plan to pretty much cause the collapse of Greece again. Is this leak going to change anything in the dynamics between Greece and the relation with the IMF?
We're speaking on a day when the European Union and IMF have met the Greek government, and I'm still waiting to find out what has happened there. But I think it just shows the problem that, look, who can blame the IMF guy, Paul Thompson, for saying things only change when there is pressure of bankruptcy? Who can blame him? What the phone call reveals is a Romanian IMF official called Dilia Velculescu says, okay then, let's try and put some pressure on them in this way. And Paul Thompson says, but that's not an event. And it is almost as if he wants there to be a major cataclysmic event. I lived, and Theopi, my collaborator on this documentary, lived through this hour by hour. Every hour felt like a day. It did feel, because I've been in a war zone, it felt like the kind of psychological pressure that happens in a war zone when you have no agency, when you cannot do anything, you cannot achieve anything. Now, I don't think anybody in their right mind should fantasize about inflicting this again on Greece, because I don't think as a society it's going to cope with it.
What can Europe learn from Greece and from Greek citizens?
Well, the citizens themselves have been very resilient. You know, there is this fascist party. It's no bigger now than it was at the height of the crisis of 2011-2012. Greece has not yet swung in a nationalist direction. They have not yet looked for a strong man. But that may happen, because belief in the left was so strong. This is a modernized left. This is a left that looked, where its members looked like ordinary members of society, not like some kind of cult, yeah? So the belief was strong, and then to see the European Union effectively crush the democratic willpower. What does it teach you about Europe? What Syriza did wrong was to believe the promises. The promise of Hollande, Renzi, Obama spent 20 minutes with Yanis Varoufakis speaking in public. British Prime Minister didn't get 20 minutes from Obama, yeah? They were saying to them, we will see it okay and make sure the Germans do not crush you. But they didn't. And the lesson I take is that Europe is becoming an institution where you only get what can be achieved by force. And we may need to hope that the populations of Europe do not learn that and begin to attempt to achieve things by force themselves.